Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 12 of Big Brother Season 23, and welcome to Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. Okay, before we talk about conversations last night, let's just do a quick refresher on where we're at in terms of the game itself. Remember, Frenchie and Brittany are on the block with Frenchie as the intended target. We've already had the veto competition. Derek X won for the second time straight. We'll have the veto ceremony today. Derek has the option of using or not using the veto. Almost certain that Derek X isn't going to use it. In fact, I'll say it's an absolute certainty that he won't use it. So we're going to see Frenchie and Brittany on the block for Thursday night's eviction ceremony. All right, so with that in mind, let's talk about what did happen last night. Mainly small talk. They had the backyard and a little more laid back attitude last night, but we did have a few conversations and some observations they're worth discussing. First, let's talk about Christian and Alyssa. Yes, I know they're not officially in a showmance because we can't have showmances this season. I'm going to be amazed if we don't have any the entire season. It'll really surprise me. But officially, they are still not in a showmance. But they spent a lot of time with each other yesterday, and they always were very close and very chummy when they were hanging out with each other. Very, very close to one another. They've even given themselves we'll call it a pre-showmance name, Chrysalis. So that I don't know. I think it's just a matter of time, guys. And here's the thing: even if they're not in a full-blown official showmance, if you're hanging around that much with each other, the effects, the results, the fears from other people about a couple working together, things like they're all still going to be still going to be there. So just go ahead and get it over, guys. Start the showmance and just have it done. I don't know. We'll see what happens as we go forward. We do have some other conversations. Frenchie, he's continued to talk about going home. He's telling everyone that he's just fine with that. It's his time. He gets it. At one point, Frenchie talked to his family through the cameras, talking to the cameras, and said that he'll see them soon. At one point, he told them, while he was talking to the cameras, he said, "I don't get how you can smile at someone and then talk about them behind their back." Well, Frenchie, welcome to Big Brother. Isn't that what it's all about? You just assume. You assume everyone's talking behind your back because it's dangerous not to make such an assumption. But Frenchie's learning what Big Brother's all about, isn't he? He does have he and Brittany are still talking about the possibility of an America's twist that'll save him or her. They're saying, we're going to walk into the diary room. There'll be an envelope waiting for us or something announced eviction night. Well, we as viewers know that's not going to happen. We also know that we assume there's not going to be a battle back. There isn't going to be one Travis. There shouldn't be one with the next person going home. But they're still hoping America's going to come in, swoop in, and save them somehow. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We have some other things going on with Frenchie. It seems like he's trying to create some paranoia. Maybe he's just talking about it. I feel like he's trying to create a little paranoia by talking to the other house guest about twists that could be taking place that they're not even aware of yet. Saying, what if there's a saboteur? What if people know each other? What if they're hiding who they really are? Anything he can think of in terms of twists that past seasons have seen. And during this conversation, at one point, Derek F is laughing along, and they're talking about things like the saboteur. What's the saboteur done? No, nothing so far. Things like that. But at one point, Derek F accuses Xavier. Says, if people aren't who they say they are, Xavier's an attorney. He got it. Derek F got it. Xavier is an attorney. He's hiding that from everyone, saying that he's a model, maybe a bartender. I'm not even sure what all he said, but he hadn't said he's an attorney. But Derek F kind of has figured it out. Xavier laughed it off and said, "Yeah, I'm an attorney and Frenchie's my brother," and he's just playing it for laughs. But Derek F kept at it, said, "No, you're smart enough. You are smart enough, Xavier. I bet you are an attorney." If I was Xavier, I'd be a little nervous about that. But it also points out that as much as Derek F is just kind of the laughing kind of guy playing the social game, sitting back, always laying around everywhere, Derek F's paying attention. Now, I feel like he's gotten excluded from some alliances, and maybe he's not as tight with some people as I expected him to be just a couple of weeks ago when the game started. That's amazing. Just started a week and a half ago or so. But I do think Derek F. doing a pretty good job of paying attention and testing and feeling out what's going on around the house. What else is going on? Brittany at one point tells Frenchie that Kylan is trying to throw Derek. She says, she recounts earlier. She says, look, Derek X Kylan was trying to throw Derek X in the swimming pool. Derek X started yelling, I'm going to use a veto. I'm going to use a veto. Now, I get the impression it was used as a joke. It was just them playing around, having fun. But it's a further indication. If they're joking about using the veto, it's further indication to me that those two are already in agreement that the veto is not going to be used. There's no actual threat of it being used. It's going to be Brittany and Frenchie come Thursday night. We do have, and I was talking about Derek F. and playing the good social game. We did have a little bit of tension between Derek F. and Tiffany yesterday, and I'm not really sure what it was. I heard some references to maybe Tiffany had said something to Derek F., yelled at him, criticized something he'd done. I don't even know what it is, but apparently Derek F. kind of got after Tiffany because of it. Tiffany F. kind of snapped back at Derek as well. And Frenchie stepped in to be the moderator, the mediator between the two, and was kind of told that, now we're not fighting. We're just discussing it. We're okay, Frenchie. Well, as it turns out, they were okay. They eventually, Frenchie and Derek F. go into the bedroom. They kind of apologize to Tiffany for criticizing her for getting in the argument. She said, "Now we're good." And then they all are good with each other. Frenchie is telling them that, hey, look, after I'm gone, y'all got to watch out for each other. You got to take care of each other. We saw earlier, Frenchie told Tiffany that there really are only three people that he trusts in the house. Her, Derek F., and Sarah Beth. So to see Derek F. and Tiffany fighting, I'm sure Frenchie wants them to work together and be a solid duo. But again, with him thinking that the only people he trusts is her, Derek F., and Sarah Beth, it's pretty funny that Tiffany really is one of the ones who's been the most vocal about pushing the idea of getting Frenchie out of the house, that she's ready for him to go, ready to be done with him. So Frenchie, maybe you're placing the trust in those three people isn't completely the most proper thing to do, or the most correct thing to do. But I get it. All right, other things going on. Many of the house guests are outside playing Mafia for an extended period of time. They're having fun doing it. They're just blowing off steam. But here's the thing. For those who are paying attention, watching how everyone is playing a game like Mafia or chess or backgammon, anything that involves some strategy, especially Mafia, though, where there's a certain amount of deception involved and lying, everything like that. Anyone who's watching and seeing who is best at influencing or convincing others in their arguments, it should really help them going forward, figuring out how these people are going to do at playing the actual game of Big Brother. I mean, if you're great at playing Mafia, if you're great at influencing and lying people to people in that game, you're probably going to be the same way in Big Brother itself. So worth paying attention to. I saw the same thing playing chess and backgammon during my season. The people who were most aggressive playing that game tended to be most aggressive in the real game, and the ones who were very cautious acted the same way in the house itself. So worth watching. There's nothing that you shouldn't be observing and paying attention to when you're inside that house. Some other conversations, observations. We later see Frenchie heading upstairs to campaign to Kylan. Again, the veto ceremony is today, so he's trying to, I think, convince Kylan to convince Derek X to use a veto. He's saying, look, Kylan, I've been nothing but loyal to you, and next week you're not going to be HOH. You're going to need loyal people around you. Kylan didn't really having any of it. He says, look, it's late. Can we carry on the conversation? Can we talk tomorrow instead? So Frenchie leaves and later tells Brittany, and Brittany's upset. She says, they're not even talking to us at this point. Well, no, it's because the decision, I think, has already been made. Later, Frenchie is telling Brittany, he says, it isn't fair that they put me up with someone I'm close to like you, Brittany. Well, that's the way it goes in Big Brother. During my season, I was put on the block with Nicole, against Kat, against Jessica. You don't usually go up against the block against someone you hate. That's Big Brother, and Frenchie is realizing that. Brittany has been working on her eviction speech throughout the entire evening. Ever since she was nominated, she's been working on this speech. I think she's worried about it. She wants to do well, and more power to her. I hope she does fantastic in her speech. Now she's saying that she's going to throw Fruit Loops. I don't know, maybe not during the eviction speech itself, but leading up to it, referencing back to Fruit Loop Dingus and some of the things with Zach Ranson. So Brittany is still working on her eviction speech. I think she's convinced the veto is not going to be used, but she also is pretty certain that she's not going to be the one going home. And she's right. Of course, I say that. Yeah, come Thursday. That's a long time away. Expect the unexpected. Derek F., Azah, and Brittany are talking together as team jokers, and they're agreeing that they need to be careful that now, if Frenchie's going home as is expected, they've got to be careful because they're afraid they're just going to get picked off one by one if they don't win the next HOH competition. And that is something a little interesting to think about. If you go after someone who has a smaller team, say Frenchie goes home, there's only 3 of them left. Well, now if one of them wins HOH, there's only 2 people protected as opposed to 3. And we've got that from the other team Kings, I guess, with Travis already gone. So I don't know. It's interesting the dynamics of thinking about is you pick off one person from a team. Is there merit to just continuing to go after one team and not make the other ones mad at you? And I don't know. We'll find out. It's a new twist, new strategies that go along with it. We've got a kind of an interesting conversation during that conversation. An interesting observation by Azah. She's talking about Derek X, and she tells Derek F. She says, "Look, Derek X, he's by himself. He's being used by others in this house." And she says, Derek X is a minority also, but he's underrepresented in here. He doesn't have an alliance like us. He's off on his own. Interesting thought. That Derek X very much is kind of off on his own. He doesn't have a whole lot of tight connections, although we're seeing some form, perhaps with Kyland and 1 or 2 others. So that may change. But as Azah is encouraging Derek F, saying don't go after Derek X right now. Deal with him later. There's other people go after. Leave Derek X alone for the moment. Derek X is interesting. I think people have underestimated him. He's won 2 vetoes now. Is that going to make him considered more of a threat? Well, perhaps. There may be people that go after him just because they fear how he's going to do in the competitions, but he is starting to make some connections as well. And so as much as he was a target during week 1, during Frenchie's HOH, I feel like he's fallen off the radar a little bit, even though he's won another veto. I'm really curious to see how he's going to do going forward. All right. And with that, most house guests are finally asleep. They stayed up for a while. Most house guests are asleep. We do see in the HOH room, Kyland is up there asleep, but on either side of them are Claire and Tiffany. They're sleeping up there as well. I think they're keeping an eye on him or watching over him until tomorrow's veto ceremony. I think they're a little nervous about Frenchie or Brittany coming up and trying to talk to him. I think Tiffany, I believe, is the one who said before that she's afraid that Kyland's a little too easily influenced by others. So I don't think it's just them being friendly up there in the HOH room. I truly think they're keeping on Kyland and trying to keep other influences from having any last minute conversations before the veto ceremony that we get today. So again, veto ceremony this morning. I fully expect it not to be used. I'll be amazed if it is, but we'll find out, and I will be back tomorrow. We'll update you on the results of the veto ceremony and everything that happens overnight tonight. Guys, y'all have a great Monday. Cheers, my friends. SKD 143. Bye.